Wow, thank you. For 88 days, I have stood before you and said we would work tirelessly to bring Jayme Closs home. Today, I can report we have done just that.
13-year-old Jayme Closs was found alive 88 days after a stranger kidnapped her from her Wisconsin home.
I was crying and talking, and he's like, "What is wrong?" I go, "Jayme's found."
It's unbelievable. It is miraculous.
Jayme is the hero in this case. There's no question about it. She's the one that helped us break the case. It's amazing the will of that 13-year-old girl to survive and escape.
I was finishing my walk right at the end of my driveway, and Jayme was coming towards me. She just said, "I'm lost. I don't know where I am." I knew she needed help, so I knew I needed to get her out of the cold. I knew I needed to get her to a safe place.
The sheriff and the detective showed up, and they gave us that news, and we cried in happy tears and cried.
He targeted Jayme. Jake Patterson is a 21-year-old male with no criminal history.
Nothing.
Nothing.
What questions do you want answered?
Why? Why did Mr. Patterson pick Jayme? This was truly a community, a country coming together for one purpose. Solving this is the will of a 13-year-old girl. Solving this case and coming home and saying enough is enough.
Think of the positive impact this child has already made on our world. The talk of hope, the talk of love, the talk of faith, the talk of family. Jayme has already made such an impression on this world.
My kids got an extra hug last night when I got home.
Her Christmas presents are all waiting for her from me, and her stocking. It's all waiting downstairs.
This guy tried to do his best to beat us, and he just didn't.
I jumped up and started jumping up and down.
There were glasses clinking and bottles clinking and hugs and kisses and...
What a brave kid.
Jayme's found. She's safe. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. She's a survivor. Yes, she's our little survivor. She's been through a lot.
It's been nearly 48 hours since Jayme Closs stunned the world by escaping the horrors of her captivity here in northern Wisconsin. Real questions remain, but today, the answers began trickling in.
We're still in the active stages of the investigation. We're still serving the search warrant.
Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald led the nearly 3-month investigation into the disappearance of Jayme Closs from her home in Barron County, Wisconsin. Under arrest is 21-year-old Jake Thomas Patterson, who allegedly murdered Jayme's parents Denise and James Closs and abducted Jayme, a teenager whose life revolved around ice skating, volleyball, and her dog Molly.
The will of a 13-year-old girl is what broke this case.
It was late Thursday afternoon that Jayme escaped from a rural, isolated home in the town of Gordon, 77 miles north of Jayme's home. Authorities believe Jake Patterson had imprisoned her there, and today, Patterson is in a cell at the Barron County Justice Center. His public defenders call it a tragic situation.
The report I got is he was sitting in his cell, looking at the wall all by himself.
Patterson is expected to be charged Monday with 2 counts of homicide and 1 count of kidnapping.
Last night, we were actually able to bring her home to Barron County. That's been the goal of mine for 88 days, and we got to bring her home.
Jayme's ordeal began last October 15th, when a strange 911 call alerted authorities that something was amiss at the Closs home on Highway 8 in Barron.
The 911 call is very inaudible. You can't hear words. You hear yelling or maybe a scream.
Do you hear a gunshot on the 911 tape?
No, you do not. You hear a lot of movement. You don't hear a lot of words.
How long is the 911 tape and how does it end?
48 seconds, and it ends by getting hung up. The time from the 911 call until our deputies arrived is less than 4 minutes.
Sheriff Fitzgerald's investigators now believe it was Jake Patterson who used a shotgun to blow through the front door here at the Closs household before turning the weapon on Jayme's parents.
We think this was well planned out. He targeted Jayme. He prepared himself to try to beat the forensics of law enforcement.
Sheriff Fitzgerald says Patterson left no fingerprints behind and no obvious clues. And Fitzgerald says Patterson hid his trail so well that originally investigators were convinced the true targets were Jayme's parents.
We really keyed on the parents because Jayme was an innocent 13-year-old girl.
Denise and Jayme Closs were supervisors at a local turkey processing plant, and detectives suspected a disgruntled worker may have killed them.
We actually thought that Denise or Jayme had to be the target. This had to be a revenge or something like that.
A rage killing.
Yeah.
It turned out that Jake Patterson did have a connection to the turkey plant, but a tenuous one. He worked there exactly 1 day 3 years ago. Investigators don't believe it has any relevance, so for now, there remains a giant hole at the heart of this investigation, the link between Jayme and her alleged abductor.
Why the heck did this happen?
Yeah. The million-dollar question. I'd love to know the answer to that.
Sheriff Fitzgerald's investigators had already done a forensic sweep of all the Closs family cell phones and computers and found no connection to Jake Patterson. Authorities are now searching through Patterson's phones and computers and this car he was driving in when arrested.
She gave details, we understand, of the vehicle that Jake Patterson used, which resulted in the car being pulled over. Is that true?
Yes.
Yep.
Justin Tolomeo is a special agent for the FBI, and Brian O'Keefe runs Wisconsin's Division of Criminal Investigation.
This is the nightmare case that we all, as parents, family, friends, members, dread. That there's a potential of somebody out there who commits acts of violence and takes your children.
I don't know that we can ever put reason to evil.
Jake Patterson is something of a cipher. He was voted the quietest person in his high school class in his hometown of Gordon. Reportedly, Patterson's parents separated years ago. Authorities say Jake was living in the house alone, and that's where they say they found a shotgun believed to be the murder weapon.
Have you been given any details? Was she kept in a locked room? Was she bound? Was she properly fed? Did she ever get outdoors? Do you have any details?
I don't think we can get into that right now.
Are you talking to neighbors? Would he go to the grocery store? What were his habits?
Yeah.
What do you know about this guy?
Well, there's not much up in Gordon. A couple gas stations and a couple bars in Gordon, if that. So it's a very, very small town.
At J&K's Halfway House Bar and Grill, there was a lot of talk about Jake Patterson.
Everybody's been talking exclusively about this, and nobody knew Jake or his family, which is extremely rare, because everybody knows everybody here.
Patterson had no job anyone knows of, was never in trouble with the law. And most perplexing for authorities, Patterson has no obvious link to Jayme Closs.
This is a true mystery. We believe the first time they met was the night of the incident.